anarchy camp. There will be twisted, fighting all in an evening.
What's up, Skid Kids? We're actually making some progress finally on the 86, and I hope you guys can hear me a little bit better because I do have like a modified case now where I drilled holes where the mics are on the GoPro, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me a little bit better and less editing for me. So I've already done, I might have already spoke about this, but I've already replaced the rotors and brand new calipers on the front. I haven't bled anything yet, but yesterday I got the rear calipers, rotor pads, and e-brake, which is still kind of iffy, but we're working on that. But I also got the other side done too, which means we are ready to bleed the brakes. So I got that side done too. So now that we're ready to bleed the brakes, I actually don't have anyone to help me. My dad's asleep because he works midnights, and I'm back on days for now. But my friend Will isn't able to be here to help me either. He's got some plans today, so I'm lone wolf. And I did some YouTube searching, and I got some, I'm not really sure what size hose this is, maybe like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch vacuum hose. And I got a Gatorade bottle, and I filled it up with brake fluid, and I poked a hole in the top. And this is like your self-bleeder method. So basically what I do is I take this 8mm wrench, and I crack the bleeder loose. So I would turn this left. This side's actually already done. I would crack this loose and then go in the car by myself and pump the brakes. So you pump the brakes, and I actually recorded it with my iPhone so I could watch back, and I would keep making videos until there wasn't any bubbles on the iPhone video. And this took about 3 or 4 times to get it right, but it's possible to do it by yourself. So far it's actually working pretty good. The fluid started like down here, so we're definitely making progress. So I'm just going to finish bleeding brakes, and we are officially able to go on the first drive since I bought the car, basically, because the car has never had brakes since I bought it. So I'm pretty stoked today. Hopefully go for a little cruise. I might try and do the head cam with like I have an aftermarket mic, so I can talk to you guys while I drive around and just explain, you know, future stuff, what's coming on. I also ordered coilovers, and there's a whole nother story behind that. So we'll be at the track, I'm hoping pretty soon here. The weather's finally nice, and I got plates and insurance. So let's finish bleeding these brakes and get to it, guys. So now I'm gonna crack this loose, like that. Make sure this is on pretty good. That's right. Okay, so I ditched the zip tie. I feel like it was risking the thing popping off even more. So actually this one I might be able to watch because I'll be right there pumping the brakes. So I got that on there. It's loose already. So now we're gonna go in here. You probably won't be able to see much of this. I hope you can see those bubbles. So now that's officially bleeded. Make sure to tighten that little bleeder screw back down, and you're done. So the back side's completely done now. And I am missing a sway bar end link. I don't know, my lap center just took it off. So now we're gonna move on to the fronts. Alright guys, so it's been a couple hours since my last update. The Corolla is sitting out there. It's ready to drive. I've bled all the brakes, and it's ready to go cruise around a little bit. I'm gonna stay close just in case something happens, because I never drove this car very long distance. This should be like a quick test to see what else we need to do. I think we need to change the oil pretty soon, start getting in some motor work finally. But for the most part, it's ready to be daily drivable, and I'm gonna start driving it to work every day. So let's go and rip some back roads. So first drive in the AE86. I've already drove down the road a little bit, and all my neighbors were out. I didn't want to embarrass myself with a camera on my head. So far, the car feels pretty solid. We're gonna go out in the country. Oh my gosh, I understeered on gravel. But so far the car is super loud. So far the car feels like really good. Steering is super solid and responsive. It definitely needs coilovers because the car is so flip-floppy. It's ridiculous. And I have the heat on actually, I don't want that. That's hot. But so far the car feels really good. I think it's weird passing people with a camera on my head. That's alright. They look at me, but they'll never see me again. But what this means though is now I can really move into the in-depth stuff like coilovers and different steering setups. So I can really get a feel for the car. I haven't ever got to drive this car a lot. I can tell you what, I get the AE86 thing. I get why people like it. It is extremely slow though, like stupid slow. Like my Civic is extremely faster than this. And but it's fun. I get it. I get the AE86 thing. This car is so fun to drive. People are always like, oh, you can't slide a stock 86. I honestly think I can. Once I get the right gear ratio in the back, I think you can slide anything that's rear-wheel drive, honestly. Running pretty good. Actually, this car runs great, and it's got 182,000 miles on it, which is it's just amazing. But we're just cruising. The gear ratios are very tall. I'm only in 3rd gear right now, and I am slightly bogged. If I put it in 4th, as you can hear, it's extremely bogged down. Nice countryside, no cops. It is kind of nice to live out in the middle of nowhere at times. Most of the time it's not, but there are nice perks and pros and cons to living out in the middle of nowhere. Like one is like this, where people take up all of the road because they're not paying attention. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I've never seen this much traffic on this road before. Whee! This car makes a disgusting sound out the back though. I need to fix that. It sounds absolutely terrible. As you can see, the body roll. Very responsive in the steering though. Super responsive actually. I'm very impressed with that. And I have not done any suspension work whatsoever. These are factory tie rods and factory rack and pinion. Just no power steering. I'm hoping this mic setup and camera setup works out pretty good, because I'd like to do a lot of in-car audio, not so much vlogs, but just discussing where we're at and what we're doing. Go Nissan Murano. Oh, that's 3rd gear. Still getting used to the transmission layout. Ooh, really bouncy. I love it though. This car's so much fun. It's just fun to rip. And you can tell this car will just take a beating miraculously over and over, and it would take it. We are gonna go straight. I have a small toge spot. I'm definitely not gonna go very crazy because the brakes are still breaking in. It's just, the suspension is so unpredictable, it's ridiculous. Tires are dry rotted. Car needs some motor work. It's very slow. I think I can bump up the power a little bit just by bringing it back up to health. I think it's a little tired. Timing belt will help. Advance the timing a small bit. Might do a head gasket. Definitely do plugs, wires, maybe a header, because this one leaks a little bit. Just enough to just make it breathe better, especially up in the higher range. Because this is a high revving motor. Revs at 7,500 for the US cars, and 8,000 for the JDM, and I believe even the European cars rev the 8,000. The motor itself though just makes a glorious sound. This car rolls so much. I mean, that's all full throttle stuff. This car is not fast whatsoever, but I can see how if you had the right suspension setup, you wouldn't need to use the brakes. You could just flow through stuff. Alright, let's see a first gear. The first gear pull is not going to be very good uphill. I'm only revving at the 6,000 or so. just to until I change the oil and make sure I feel confident revving the motor all the way to its full potential. I can feel the power though. It definitely picks up more and more as the higher you rev. So I have confidence that the motor has plenty of juice to drift. I'm just more worried about the tracks that are local to us. They're very figure 8 oriented, as in they're normally almost like a stock car track, but small, because they're meant for lower league cars, and they just let us drift on the weekends. So I'm a little bit worried on the track layout. I might not have enough run up to get enough speed for this car, because one thing I love about Japanese people and the drifting culture over there is it's all about high speed entry and then slow down through the rest of the corners, or just go as far as you can on one big entry. And the US is kind of blinded by Formula D, by everyone thinking they need huge V8s, and they use the V8 with torque to carry them through the corner so they can show up with whatever entry speed they want in the corner. Car runs pretty good though. Just the suspension scares me at the moment. That's why I'm not full throttling around all these corners just yet, or even drifting. Just not confident in it at all. Just a cruiser right now. Just gonna use it to get me to work and look cool while I'm doing it. Hopefully someone notices me and me driving an 86. All right, here's a good first gear pull. First and second, not all the way to the red line, but honestly it'd probably pull the same the further I went. So, but I just hope you guys, I just wanted to show you guys that this car actually moves and all that crap. I think this is my turn. This guy's gonna stare at me because I have the camera on my head. Oh, maybe not. Oh, he looked at that because I fucking bottomed out my fender on the car. I've never done a first gear launch in this car. Hoping not to stall it, because I'm pretty sure it won't start. Actually, that's not connected at all. This car is so slow. Well, I do smell a little rubber though. The last time I did this, I broke down out here. The new next episode will be coming soon, because my coilovers will be coming soon. I'm also going to throw in those fenders, I think, as an episode. So I just wanted to give you guys a little update, show the car driving. Today we're going to be focusing on fenders, as in these ones are super rusty and ruined, and they're falling apart. Huge dent. The last owner put like, I don't know, I think they're price tags. And this side's actually even worse. Huge rust holes. This garnish is just falling off. So what I did is, on eBay, I'll post a link, but these are fiberglass, and they're 20 millimeters wider than the stock ones. They have like a nice pump to them, and they have this nice brake duct on the back. So we're gonna throw these on and just see what they look like. I mean, they're pretty simple installed. They didn't drill the holes, but they gave me little divots to where they should go. So it should go pretty simple. I'm going to pull off the old fender first and toss on the new ones. Hopefully it'll look cool. I do have 1-inch spacers up front with the super wheels, and I actually do like the fitment, but I'm going to have to get different wheels, maybe a larger spacer to make up with these fenders, but it'll look way better than rusty fenders. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's pretty simple. We're slowly starting to get into the motor stuff, and we'll be doing that stuff soon too. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you at the track hopefully really soon. So yeah, so next is these bolts here, all these 10mm bolts, and that's enough for the top. And I believe there's one at the door. I'm thinking if this is just like a 240, there should be a bolt in here somewhere too. Maybe not, but we'll have to do some more research on the forums and stuff. I'm thinking maybe one bolt down here. Yeah, it looks like there's two right there. So yeah, I'm gonna start taking off the bolts and hopefully get the fender off pretty quick. Fell out of the fender when I took it off. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, make it look a little bit better. Okay, so I had to do some serious sanding. If you guys buy these fiberglass fenders for almost any car, you're going to have to do some modifying. But I had to sand this gap here. I sanded it pretty wide just because it doesn't have to be perfect. And it gets clearance because the door was hitting it. A little bit like that. Still is a little bit. I'm going to give it some time to maybe slowly rub itself off. Like that. Might need a little bit more still. So I'm going to sand a little bit more, and then we'll finish bolting this bad boy up. Fitment was like an 8 out of 10. Most of the bolts lined up pretty good once you drilled them. Did have to do a little bit of sanding. These just are in pretty good enough. But I'm going to flip the car around real quick, and then we're going to do the other side. So it looks pretty good. Actually, it's not as flared as I thought it would be. But actually, I love it. I think it looks so good, especially compared to those rusty fenders that were on it. So I'm going to flip the car around real quick and we'll do the other side. if this is the first time your factory fenders have ever been off, the factory actually glues the fender to the unibody on Corollas, also on the 240s. So I usually just get a screwdriver and kind of wedge it in there and just kind of pry it up a little bit for the first time, like that. Like, see right there, I just broke all the glue loose. So that just makes it set. It's easier to take off once you get all the bolts. Because there's been times I've gotten all the bolts and then I can't get it off, and I think I've forgotten the bolt somewhere, but it's actually just glued to the body. So that's a little pro tip for taking off fenders. Alright, so we got both fenders on. This one's I did have to zip tie the bottom just because all the bolts snapped because they were too rusty. But ain't going nowhere, it's solid. These are also a pain in the ass to do with the cheaper ones, but I just threw them in there, it's good enough. So now both sides are done and pumped. So once I get the right wheels and coilovers are on the way, then this thing is going to be seriously cool looking with the right wheels, and once I get it down with the right offset. I actually like the offset of these wheels. Matches pretty good actually. So yeah guys, that was how to install some fiberglass fenders. Kinda how to, not really. All cars are about the same. It's pretty easy. They're usually about the same as putting on a stock fender. Just have to drill out the holes. You can buy more expensive ones and they'll already come with the holes, but I went with the cheaper ones. So yeah, show you some cool shots, and then hopefully we'll be on the track soon. Thanks for watching, guys.